In a moment that stunned viewers and rattled morning television, Brad Pitt was abruptly kicked off Good Morning America following a fiery, unexpected on-air argument with anchor George Stephanopoulos. What was supposed to be a routine interview promoting Pitt's latest film quickly spiraled into a tense exchange that no one saw coming. The segment began pleasantly enough, with the veteran actor joking about his role and engaging in light banter with the co-hosts. But as the conversation shifted to broader cultural issues and comments Pitt had made in a recent magazine profile, things took a sharp and sudden turn. Stephanopoulos pressed him on remarks about Hollywood's hypocrisy in the industries, complicity in political messaging, prompting a visibly irritated Pitt to push back. "I came here to talk about a movie, not play politics," Pitt snapped, his tone icy. Stephanopoulos, known for his measured yet persistent style, didn't let up, leading to several uncomfortable exchanges. Within minutes, the studio atmosphere grew charged. Tension crackled through the broadcast as the actor's demeanor hardened and his responses turned clipped. Viewers at home could feel it. Something had gone very wrong, and it wasn't just a disagreement. It was a collision between celebrity candor and journalistic provocation. Asterisk as the live segment continued. Stephanopoulos doubled down, citing Pitt's previous interviews where the actor criticized the entertainment industry's echo chamber and the erosion of personal authenticity in public life. Visibly tense, shot back, "You want to twist my words into some headline, George? I'm not playing that game." The exchange grew more heated as Stephanopoulos pushed further, referencing Pitt's attendance at recent charity events that had sparked speculation about his political affiliations. Pitt interrupted sharply, "You're trying to make this political when it's not. Maybe this is why people don't want to do your show anymore." The control room, reportedly stunned, made the call to cut to an early commercial break, but Pitt didn't wait. As the cameras faded out, he stood up, removed his earpiece, and muttered something off mic that left the remaining hosts in awkward silence. When the show returned, Stephanopoulos was alone at the desk, offering a brief, almost terse statement. "We appreciate Mr. Pitt's time today." But the tension lingered both in the studio and across the internet, where clips of the incident began spreading like wildfire. What was supposed to be a polished press stop had turned into one of the most talked-about walkouts in live TV history, asterisk within hours. Social media was ablaze with reactions from fans, critics, and media insiders alike. Hashtags like hashtag Brad Pitt walkout and hashtag Stephanopoulos showdown trended on X, formerly Twitter, sparking a firestorm of commentary. Supporters of Pitt defended his stance, applauding him for standing his ground and refusing to be ambushed during what was billed as a film promotion. He's an actor, not a politician. One viral post read. Others, however, backed Stephanopoulos, arguing that public figures who make broad statements about the industry or society should be prepared to answer for them. If you can say it in Vanity Fair, you should be able to say it on air. Another user posted. Major entertainment outlets rushed to cover the story, and late-night shows began incorporating the clash into their monologues. Meanwhile, sources close to Pitt suggested he felt set up by the line of questioning, alleging that pre-interview notes had made no mention of discussing his personal views on the industry. ABC declined to comment beyond a brief statement, reiterating their commitment to balanced and respectful conversation, but the damage was done. For many, the incident highlighted just how thin the line has become between celebrity interviews and cultural battlegrounds. Asterisk behind the scenes. Insiders at ABC were left scrambling to contain the fallout. While some producers reportedly supported Stephanopoulos' line of questioning, others feared the segment had crossed into ambush territory, risking relationships with high-profile talent in their studios. Executives held emergency meetings to assess how the clash might affect future bookings, especially with other A-list guests wary of being caught off guard. Pitt's representatives, meanwhile, issued a carefully worded statement later that day. Expressing disappointment over how the interview was handled, Brad came on the show in good faith to discuss his latest project. He was not informed the conversation would veer into politically charged territory. The statement did not mention Stephanopoulos by name, but the implication was clear. The incident also sparked discussion among fellow actors, with a few subtly voicing support for Pitt through social media likes and cryptic posts about media traps. Some industry analysts suggested that the clash could have long-term implications, not just for Pitt's publicity strategy, but for how Hollywood navigates the shifting terrain of media appearances in an increasingly polarized environment. As the noise grew louder, both Pitt and Stephanopoulos retreated from public comment, letting the viral moment speak for itself. Asterisk, in the days that followed, the fallout from the GMA confrontation took on a life of its own, morphing into a cultural flashpoint that extended far beyond morning television. Analysts on cable news debated whether the encounter signaled a larger shift in how celebrities handle public scrutiny, while entertainment podcasts dissected every moment of the exchange frame by frame. Some framed Pitt's reaction as emblematic of a growing reluctance among Hollywood elites to engage with uncomfortable questions, while others saw it as a justified response to what they viewed as a media apparatus more interested in provocation than substance. Meanwhile, Pitt's films saw an unexpected surge in streaming interest, with viewers tuning in not just for the story, but to catch a glimpse of the man behind the headlines. Rumors swirled about whether Pitt would address the controversy head-on in a future interview or opt to lay low until it passed. As for Stephanopoulos, he maintained a studied silence, neither defending his approach nor backing away from it. The moment had already etched itself into the cultural memory, two towering public figures clashing not just over words, but over the very nature of what public dialogue has become in the age of virality. Asterisk, as the storm began to settle, industry insiders quietly admitted that the Pitt-Stephanopoulos incident had reshaped the unwritten rules of celebrity. Press appearances. Studios, in response, started demanding tighter control over interview topics, and even requesting pre-approved question lists for top-tier talent. A-list actors began re-evaluating their publicity tours, wary of being turned into the next viral headline. Some hosts across networks reportedly toned down their lines of inquiry in the aftermath, not out of fear, but out of recognition that the delicate balance between journalistic integrity and talent relations had become more precarious than ever. Brad Pitt himself remained out of the spotlight for several weeks, skipping a few scheduled appearances and letting the media frenzy burn itself out. Then, quietly and without fanfare, he returned to the circuit, this time with firmer boundaries and a smaller, hand-picked list of outlets. When asked casually during a podcast how he was doing, he chuckled and replied, "Still not a fan of surprise pop quizzes on live TV," though he didn't mention Good Morning America or Stephanopoulos. Directly, the message was unmistakable, and in that subtle swipe, Pitt reclaimed control of his narrative, not with a dramatic outburst, but with the calm, calculated cool that had once defined his rise to Hollywood royalty. Asterisk, in the weeks that followed, entertainment media began framing the Pitt-Stephanopoulos clash not simply as a scandal, but as a pivotal moment in the evolving relationship between celebrity and journalism. Think pieces poured in from both mainstream publications and independent outlets, each dissecting what had transpired and what it meant for the future of live interviews. Some writers labeled it a media reckoning, arguing that stars were no longer willing to tolerate veiled agendas under the guise of casual conversation. Others saw it as a warning to public figures. If you engage with the press, expect to be held accountable even on morning television. The incident also prompted a reassessment of George Stephanopoulos' role as a journalist, navigating the blurred lines between hard news and celebrity interviews. While some applauded him for sticking to his convictions, others criticized the tone of the exchange, suggesting he had prioritized confrontation or conversation. As these conversations played out, viewers found themselves reflecting on a deeper question. Had the public appetite for transparency eclipsed the expectation of civility? In a world increasingly defined by viral clips and polarized opinions, the line between an honest exchange and a sensational ambush seemed thinner than ever, and both Pitt and Stephanopoulos had found themselves straddling it live on air. Asterisk, as the headlines began to fade, what remained was a lasting shift in the way public figures approached vulnerability on camera. Brad Pitt, long known for his polished calm and aversion to controversy, had shown a different, siden-filtered, sharp human. For some fans, it made him even more relatable. For others, it raised questions about the limits of media exposure. In an age where every second is captured, clipped, and dissected by millions. In the end, the clash between Pitt and Stephanopoulos became more than a spotite, became a case study. Journalism professors began referencing it in lectures. Talent. Managers used it as a cautionary tale, even inside GM.